to a digital presentation of our program series, Cooking Up History. We're thrilled to share this recipe and conversation with Chef Haile Thomas, international speaker, wellness and compassion advocate, founder and CEO of the nonprofit Happy, and author of the newly released empowerment cookbook, Living Lively. If you'd like to cook along with Chef Haile, her recipe for creamy beet spaghetti with garlicky greens will be available on this page, as well as in the resources section of our website. We welcome you to share your dishes with us using the hashtag Smithsonian Food. Without further ado, Chef Haile.
Hi, my name is Haile Thomas, and I'm a wellness and compassion activist, vegan cookbook author, and the CEO and co-founder of the Happy organization. And today I am super excited to bring you along with me on a little kitchen journey to make one of my favorite recipes from my new cookbook, Living Lively. So today we are going to be making my creamy beet spaghetti with garlicky greens. And this is a go-to recipe for me, especially with the transitioning, especially as we are seeping into fall and really getting into all of the cozy and grounding ingredients that we have access to this time of year. And it's a great way to have some fun with ingredients that usually we look to as kind of bland or not very exciting. But my journey with beets has been an interesting one, and I'm so happy to have found a really great way to use them, get in all that nutrition, but also create such a vibrant and beautiful dish that is comforting for your mind, body, and soul. So let's get started. So the star of our recipe here are beautiful beets, and I've got some lovely ones here with super gorgeous leaves. And my relationship with beets, as I kind of alluded to earlier, has been interesting. I've definitely gone between liking them and hating them and just not really feeling quite confident in preparing them in my kitchen in a way that brought me joy and really just tasted delicious and utilized all of the incredibly earthy flavors in our beets and that subtle sweetness in the background. And so to get to this point where I have a recipe with beets that I really love is definitely something I celebrate every time I make this recipe, because it's just really utilizing the vibrancy of this ingredient. And the entire thing, from the beetroot, the stems, into the leaves, is packed with nutrition. So you're getting fiber, anti-inflammatory benefits, vitamin C, iron, and it's just an incredible produce that you honestly should have in your kitchen at all times, especially during flu season, as it's great for boosting immunity as well. So great for this time of year and just this year in general. And I love the feeling of just nourishing my body with everything I choose to eat. And it's something that's super empowering. So to have this beetroot as the shining star of our dish today is perfect because it truly helps us maximize those benefits. So to jump right in, what we're going to do is prepare our beets. And what I like to do is roast them, but of course, before roasting them, we've got to prep them. So here I have some beets that are peeled and just chopped in half. But what we're gonna do over here is cut them into little squares. And honestly, I just rough chop my beets. You don't really have to be super precise with it. Just grab your knife and safely cut them into chunks. And so, like I said, you don't really have to make any precise measurements here or specific thickness, because once we get these all roasted, they will be blended to make our beet pasta sauce. So here I'm just gonna chop them up a bit. And as I'm doing this, I can't help but just marvel at the beauty of this ingredient. And it makes me think of how powerful and beautiful plant-based foods are. And I think that it's such a great tool for empowerment when we're thinking of the ways that we can make an impact on our bodies, the environment, and animals as well through eating more plant-based foods. So it's really a feel-good thing for me every time when I come into the kitchen and whip up a meal that's full of plants. So here we have our chopped beets ready to go into the oven. So I'll show you what I do to prep it before we roast. So now it's time to roast our beets, and what I have here are my chopped beets in a sheet pan, baking pan. You can use a flat sheet pan or something like this, whatever works. And basically what I'm going to do is just drizzle this with some avocado oil, make sure that all of our chopped beets are nice and coated. And then using a spoon, because you'll get like super pink beady hands if you use your hands, what I'll do is just combine the avocado oil to make sure that it's covering the entire surface of each beet. Beautiful. So what I love about roasting beets versus, say, boiling it or even sautéing it is that you really get this kind of grounded flavor. And as I mentioned before, beets are pretty earthy. They've got some subtle sweetness. When you roast it, it really matures all the flavors, I think, in a really beautiful way. So roasting is my go-to method for beets. I love doing this, of course, with this recipe, but also when I'm just roasting a ton of fall veggies, and sweet potatoes and squash. This is a great veggie to throw in there as well. So what we're going to do is pop this into the oven, which is preheated at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to roast it for 35 to 40 minutes or until the beets are tender when you pierce it with a fork. Oh, they look so gorgeous. I love this deep burgundy color, and it just smells so wholesome. And I love that we have just all of the beets' original flavors shining through here, but they look wonderful and smell amazing too. So this is all ready to go for our beet pasta sauce. And now what we're going to do is transition into making our pasta, because perfectly cooked pasta is definitely very important if you want to have a lovely pasta experience. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here we have everything we need to get our pasta boiled and make our beet pasta sauce. So first, what I'm going to do is pop some spaghetti into boiling salted water. So this spaghetti that I'm using is gluten-free because I'm gluten-free, but feel free to use any kind of spaghetti that you like. What I'm going to do here is sprig it into our water. Perfect. And just going to press this down into our boiling water. And we'll let this cook for about 10 minutes, or according to the package instructions of what you've got. So what I love most about this recipe is that it has relatively simple and accessible ingredients. And one thing that is super important to me in my work through my nonprofit is food insecurity. And food insecurity, as of last year, impacted over 13.7 million households here in the US. And we know that through the pandemic, even more have been impacted. And so it's very important for me to develop recipes that feel approachable or can be modified with little tweaks here and there to make it even more accessible. So it's my personal mission to ensure that the recipes that I create and provide through my nonprofit or other work that I do are delicious, vibrant, nutritious, and as accessible and flexible as possible. And so any of these ingredients that may be hard to find in this recipe, I'll definitely let you know of subs that you can make. So while our pasta continues to boil, what we're going to do is make our beet pasta sauce. And this is super fun to just see our roasted beets transform. So we're going to jump right into this. So now we are jumping into our beet pasta sauce, and I love pulling this together. We've just got a few ingredients, and I think that's the magic of cooking, right? Is that we're able to see and connect to all of the different ingredients that we put into our food and therefore put into our bodies. And that's why, teaching kids how to cook at an early age is such an empowering thing, because not only does it create a really beautiful opportunity for young people to start understanding the connection between what they put into their bodies and how they feel, but it's also a wonderful creative outlet, and truly any ingredient can be your canvas. So what we're going to do is start our sauce by adding 4 cloves of garlic and some slivered almonds to a food processor. And basically I'm just going to chop this up, get these 2 ingredients nice and incorporated, and then we'll add in some more ingredients. This honestly smells so incredible. You just get this whiff of like nutty garlickiness. It's wonderful. And I'm about to get a huge whiff of it now. Ooh, it smells amazing. So this is our foundation of our sauce. And now what I'm going to do is just add in the rest of our ingredients. So here I have our roasted beets that we love so much. And this is really going to add in a nice background sweetness, as I mentioned before. We'll just guide our beets into the food processor. Oop, lost one. Okay, now we are going to add some red wine vinegar, olive oil, and oregano, parsley, and salt. Keeping it simple with our spices. I just love that, really getting to taste all of the ingredients, not masking it with too much seasoning. So here we're going to process this until it creates a nice and smooth sauce. Look at this color. I just had to pause to soak in this beautiful, vibrant pink color. It instantly makes me very happy and definitely just brings this life to pasta, obviously, which is, pretty bland color, right? Just white or cream colored, but this just adds a whole other fun element. So that's why I'm smiling at the food processor right now, because it's so bright and beautiful. Amazing. I think our sauce looks fabulous, and I will give you an up-close VIP preview of the sauce. It's super bright pink and just really rich and creamy. I absolutely love that part about it too. It's not a watery sauce or anything like that. It's super rich and decadent and just super comforting. So our sauce is done. We're going to let our pasta cook up here. Just going to check on it, make sure it's doing well. Amazing. And once our pasta's done, I'm just going to drain it, and then we'll get ready to get all of our elements together and make our garlicky greens and mushrooms, which will go on top. So the final component that we're going to whip together for this beet pasta is our garlicky greens and mushrooms. So I am personally extremely obsessed with mushrooms. They're my go-to alternative protein, plant-based protein. They are packed with vitamin D, lots of fiber, and it's just super nutritious and really versatile. So usually for this recipe, I'll use shiitake mushrooms, sometimes even maitake mushrooms, but I'm actually using white button mushrooms here today because they're also super simple, and this is what I had access to at the moment. So this is what I'm going to be whipping up for our mushroom component, and then we have some greens. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, beet greens are incredibly nutritious, and here I have some beet greens just slivered, and what I love about beet greens is that they are heart healthy, bone healthy, and truly just add a wonderful boost to our greens mixture. Then of course we have spinach, a well-known favorite, and yeah, I think it's really cool that we can add in these combos and that you get the beets and the beet greens from our beets. So that's what we're gonna be putting into our pan here. So first what I'm gonna do is just add some coconut oil to a medium-sized skillet heated on medium-high heat. And we'll just let this kind of swivel around here. Coat the pan. And now what I'm going to do is add our mushrooms. So here I'm just going to stir around our mushrooms a bit, get them coated in the oil, and saute them for about 5 minutes. As I'm cooking, it's really hard for me not to think about the roots of my food journey. a lot of it began with me cooking in the kitchen with my mom when I was super little. And food and culture has always just been something deeply embedded in me. I have two Jamaican immigrants as my parents, and so that's always kind of opened me up to being super interested in food and flavor and cuisines from all over the world. And I think really being open to trying new and different things has completely shaped my journey, personally, professionally, and has shown me the incredible diversity of plant foods, fruits, veggies, grains. There's so much to explore just within my own heritage. And so to be able to have that inspiration kind of follow me through everything that I do is really important. And also it's a pretty cool thing to know that, like my grandmother taught my mom to cook, my mom's teaching me how to cook, and maybe one day I'll pass it on too. So here we're just gonna make sure these are sauteing up nicely. And I think another really great thing to think about when we're making plant-based foods is that, this does not have to be something scary or intimidating. When my family and I first went vegan about 6 years ago, we really had to reimagine the idea of a plate, right? But once we got past that kind of mental construct and what a plate looks like and what nourishment looks like, we were able to really dive into the incredible, delicious, filling, and hearty, nutritious aspects of plant-based foods. And that's really actually what led me to really become interested in health and food, was through redefining my relationship with it and my family being on that journey as well. When I was 8 years old, my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and through that diagnosis, our entire perspective on food and just taking care of our bodies completely changed, and that's what led us towards trying more, plant-based proteins and meat alternatives, and experimenting with just this abundance of delicious and nutritious produce that we have access to. And so getting to go on this journey to learn so much about food and to deeply connect with it is an honor. And it's something that I definitely try to embody through every demo that I do, through every, cooking demonstration, nutrition education demonstration, all of those things. I really try to capture this incredible diversity within food and tie that to the incredible diversity within people and our cultures. So here, this dish is kind of just a mashup of flavors and foods that I love, but I always carry that inspiration from my background with me. Okay, so I think it's been about 5 minutes now with our mushrooms here, and they're nice and sauteed. So what we are going to do is add in our greens next. So I have my spinach, which is also thinly sliced, and our beet greens. I just love the hints of pink in our beet greens. Like, if you're looking for a dish that is just aesthetically pleasing every step of the way, this is definitely one to get your hands on. Okay, this smells amazing. Like, the smell of mushrooms and fresh greens cooking is just heavenly to me. There we go, and we're just going to gently wilt our veggies, so just sauteing them for a few minutes here. And now is a great opportunity to add in some of our spices. So as I said, this dish really honors the natural, beautiful flavors of all of our produce here. And so what I'm doing is just adding some garlic, oregano, salt, pepper, and that's really it. So here we're just gonna incorporate our spices, make sure everything is coated. Lovely. It smells so amazing. All right, we have reached the end of our recipe, and now we're going to assemble everything, bring it all together, and get to taste it. I'm so excited to dig into this. So we've got our beautiful bright pink beet sauce here, and then we have our pasta cooked perfectly al dente. We have our garlicky greens and mushrooms, and then I just have some pine nuts here that I like adding on top for a little bit of crunch. And extra flavor, but you can add any kind of crunchy seed that you like or even crunchy nut that you like, and just feel free to experiment with it. So now what I'm going to do is add in our beet sauce to our pasta. This is going to be a really pretty transformation. So get ready. All right. Add this in. Okay, and I like to take it kind of in batches. So I'll add in that first batch of beet sauce. Just start tossing it in. And we see our pasta start to transform. Okay, so we have our beet pasta nice and coated in the pasta sauce here. I'm just going to take a scoop of pasta, add it to our bowl. Amazing. And I just can't get over this pink, and with the contrast of more neutral colors with our greens and mushrooms. It's just really cool. So here we are going to add our garlicky greens and mushrooms on top, just like that. And then a sprinkle of pine nuts. Beautiful. And that is it for our gorgeous beet pasta with garlicky greens. It's just like, it pops so much, like even more than it translates on camera. It is popping, and it's super filling. You'll definitely be able to share this with your family and friends, and it's definitely something that I hope that finds its way into your kitchen very soon. But I want to thank you so much for watching, tuning in, and joining me on this little adventure making this recipe, and I hope that you enjoyed.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you will take this recipe along with others from Food History Weekend home to your kitchen. And don't forget to share them with #SmithsonianFood.